Welcome to the SKYNS Podcast.
Welcome.
This
welcome,
is episode 6.
Episode 6, yeah.
Yeah, episode 6. I am Kyle Ingram, a.k.a. King Groom, a.k.a. Black Zeus.
Oh, my gosh. Here we go.
A.k.a.
AKAs
Voodoo
again.
Man, a.k.a. Young Papa. I'm about to be a dad.
I am Nikita, also known as Lanamra on social media.
Yeah. This show is brought to you by Mansa Media Productions, being produced by our guy, Ryan Got the Bread, Ryan Fagan. Yeah, we're here.
Ryan got the bread.
Ryan got the bread.
The universal brand.
Universal brand. The brand is strong. So what are we getting into today? What's on our docket?
How are you feeling?
You know me, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling a little bit better. I knocked out some projects, but I've been coming to. I'm still getting into this idea of fatherhood. There's still things that I think I've been getting more to the root of it, of what the real issue that I've been having is.
Okay, so you want to talk about it?
I guess. I mean, this was not on the docket, but this is where we're going.
Do you want? I mean, you don't have to.
Sure. We can talk about it. So I think really what the real issue is not an issue. It's just a thought. And it's something that I wonder if other dads have been thinking about is, what is it that you have to offer? Mm-hmm. And I notice like anytime I talk to a dad, they're like the first few months, they're like,
nothing.
Yeah. They're like, just take care of your lady. Just take care of her. Make sure she's good. The baby's going to be relying upon her. But I'm going beyond that. I'm going into the future, 5 years from now, when my son is 5, 10 years from now, when he's 10, what am I going to be able to give him? I've really been, and this is strange for me. If you know me, this is a strange phenomenon for me. I've been doubting myself in ways that I've never had before. I'm not someone who I have
a crisis of self.
Yeah, I've been having a crisis of self. I am someone who has always been supremely self-confident in what I could do, what I could bring.
That Leo stuff.
Yeah. But now I'm questioning, like, we had a whole conversation and I was like, am I even a good person? Like I'm asking myself all these questions that I never asked and I know it's directly related to, I'm thinking about what am I going to give my son? What lessons can I bring to him? And I question whether or not I've made right decisions in the past. Am I a good decision maker? Am I a qualified leader to have the responsibility of another one's life? Am I qualified to what can I do? It's been making me reflect in ways I've never reflect on decisions I've had to make that I never questioned, never thought about. And
is it a strange feeling for you? Like
it is,
questioning yourself so intensely? It is
not just strange. It is a demoralizing and upsetting feeling for me.
Demoralizing?
Yeah.
Why is it demoralizing?
Because I'm putting myself under so much scrutiny. I don't think it's a positive thing. I don't think it's actually true. Like the questioning and it's not necessary. It's just something that is really, and this is why I'm starting to feel better about it, because I'm really recognizing that it's really just fear manifesting itself in a way of trying to tear me down.
Which you aren't familiar with.
I'm not familiar with fear.
Just like for the record, you're not familiar with fear and anxiety the way that other people
this is new to me. I generally, and I don't know why this is. Like we've had conversations about that.
I don't think it's abnormal for anybody who is, thinks is a critical thinker or, like cares and actually is conscious of the decisions that they made, that they make, and intentional about the things that they do. I don't think it's necessarily abnormal for someone like that to sit and think about the things that you've been thinking about.
Right.
To me, that's reasonable.
Yes.
Now, if it goes to a point where it kind of affects your productivity, affects your mood.
It's been affecting everything. And I definitely think that I am, and this is like really like yesterday I was thinking about it and I was thinking, I think I was realizing that was just how my fear of being a dad was manifesting itself. It was manifesting itself not in that capacity. It was making me question, who am I? What am I? What am I going to be able to give this kid?
I mean, it's interesting because I think that both, fathers and mothers have these questions, but I think yours are different from mine.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So,
and also, I don't think a lot of dads get, I don't know, I don't want to say room or space, but our job, like, and even with our conversations, I always feel guilty for having those conversations a little bit because I know that you need me to lean on. So if I'm faltering, then what are you? So we oftentimes, I don't think, have those conversations, but I think to be, completely transparent and genuine, I have to tell you, I'll try to tell you what I'm feeling, what's going on with me. But yeah, I think I am doing better with that. Part of what I was thinking, I was like, so, the past couple of years, I have not been in the shape that I wanted to be in.
Right.
Last year, when my sister got married, I did a pretty decent job of getting back into some kind of condition that I was okay with, and I was planning on going up. But at the same time, like the week that we were leaving to go to her wedding, I found out that you were pregnant.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that kind of started a little bit of that, kind of shifted my mind a little bit.
Which is funny because you were always like, "Are you fine?" And for the first, 5 months, you were "I'm good."
That was my answer.
I feel good. I'm not anxious.
Nope.
I'm not feeling.
I was good, except maybe I wasn't. I don't know.
I kept telling you that I could see that.
I did tell you that it was going to happen. I did say that. I said, I'm good now, but
right
at some point it's going to hit. So, but yeah, so I think that kind of started a bit of I just stopped working out. I just didn't think about myself that way. And, I got to a point where I was just disgusted with myself. And I was like, ugh, this is terrible.
How do you feel now?
Well, so I've been trying to get back in shape. I started working back out. I'm changing my diet up, and I'm taking that more into consideration. And, I've seen some progress. Obviously, I went to go play ball the other day, and I was like, I'm not there yet. I still won, but it was just in the park, so I was, I'm not going to lose, but I was just not feeling good. I was like, this is not how I should feel at this age.
These things take time. Like,
yes.
You didn't get here overnight.
I don't have patience to do
that. I think that is a major thing for you. More major than you probably give credit to it.
Yeah, I have no patience for any of that.
The lack of patience. And maybe
I have high expectations.
Yes, but low patience.
Yes.
Maybe the baby will help you with that. Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
The irony is that you have maybe that's not ironic because you have no patience. But yeah, it's not ironic at all. I was going to say like how you usually, like most people get up early, well, not even early, but before they have to do something and they're like an hour to prepare and get out the door and you're like 15 minutes before, boom, out.
Yeah.
Lack of patience, I think, is part of that. Like,
that's not even patience. That's the confidence. I don't need that time to prepare.
You are going to need it when the baby comes.
Yes, there's a lot of things that's going to have to change.
Yes.
But what I was going to was Will Smith recently posted a picture of his quarantine body or whatever. I don't know what he was saying. And he was talking about how he was just kind of snacking it up.
This is the worst
shape he's ever been
in his life. Yeah.
And he posted a picture of himself and to all of his millions of fans and followers. And there's been a couple camps, a lot of guys were like, finally a celeb looks like me.
Yeah. There was like a whole post with other dudes that.
Yeah. And he posted all the guys that felt like they wanted to share it. But an interesting thing about him was he was like, I'm about to get back in shape, and
here's my partnership with YouTube.
Here's my partnership with YouTube to fund his getting back in shape process. And I was like, dang, YouTube, holla at me.
It don't make dollars. It don't make sense over there.
I'm like, dang, I was out of shape. I'm getting back in shape. YouTube, where's my deal? Where's my camera? YouTube, where's my deal?
What I mean, look, we know that the Smiths, particularly when it comes to Will, it's like a money making machine.
Yeah.
Right, and it's thought out. It is, premeditated, whatever you want to call it. But I did appreciate him saying, this body got me through a whole pandemic. Right. I mean, the pandemic is not over, but just offering that gratitude and acknowledgement, because I think a lot of people feel similar to you, and like they're down on themselves because of how their bodies may have changed in the past year.
I realize that too. I'm an emotional eater. Like,
yeah.
Like that's something I do when I'm like stressed out. I just want to eat.
You want to eat things that aren't good for you.
Aren't good for you. Like I want to eat terribly.
They taste great going down.
And the weird thing is I want to eat like that. But then I hate that I did that.
Right.
Like later it's like a cycle that does not help.
And you don't like how you feel when you do
it. I feel better I feel better. My body feels good when it's functional, when it can operate, and I know I can lift things and put them down, heavy things, and run for miles at a time.
And your mood is improved.
Everything's improved everything's better when my body's in shape. But I love to eat terrible food when I feel bad.
I will do what I can to support you on your journey.
You do. She's been helping me. She's been meal prepping.
But also you are a stubborn person.
I am. I guess.
It's so tricky with you, because when you get into a mood and you are stuck on doing the thing that you want to do,
it's tough.
There's nothing that anyone can say to change your mind until you're ready to change your mind.
I hear you, but I don't want to hear it.
Right.
I actually tweeted something like that the other day. I was like, when I'm in a bad mood, I hate hearing positive people, like especially celebrities. Like I hate it. Like I don't want to hear how a celebrity who's or somebody who's successful, not even necessarily a celebrity, because what is that these days? But someone who's successful tweeting like, I know you're going through hard times, but you can make it. Look at what I hate that crap when I'm feeling bad. I do it. Like I say those things.
Right.
But when I'm in a negative space, I hate that. Like I can't do that interaction. It pushes me the other way. I'm like, look at you fake. You never had no problems. You don't know what it's like to be broke. You don't know what it's like to be stressed out. You don't know what, like I just start going in this.
And you spiral. Those thoughts aren't even your real thoughts.
No, they're not.
Celebrity.
This is
just interesting.
And I tweeted right after that the funny thing about that, right, is when celebrities tweet stuff, or people who are successful tweet that stuff, they are human. And part of the reason that they're probably successful is because they were able to have that perspective on it. Right. Like the way that success comes from looking at your failures differently and not being afraid of failure. And I know this. Like I know that, if you're able to approach something that is negative with a positive outlook, or figure out how to make that thing work for you, you're more likely going to succeed in most situations than if you let this negativity just beat you down and you let it just be the thing that you identify with the most. I understand that.
Yeah, but sometimes it's hard to break from that pattern. That's why people go to therapy. It
is hard to break from that pattern. And I recognize that, even when I'm in that mode.
You can recognize all of
those
things.
But you still feel that feeling.
Getting out of it, that's why people go to therapy, because sometimes you get into that pattern and you're just like on a merry-go-round and you don't know how to jump off.
Right.
You don't know how to get off. You don't know how to interrupt the cycle. So sometimes therapy is useful in interrupting the cycle, giving you tools to help stay off the merry-go-round, giving you tools to cope.
Yeah. So
I always advocate for therapy.
Yeah, she's trying to get me to go to therapy. Not that I'm against it. I'm for it. But I'm just like,
you have to invest in yourself. I feel like therapy is an investment in self.
In our business.
Yeah, but if you don't invest in yourself and your well-being, your mental health, that trickles into everything else.
This is true.
So just investing in your business, great, sure. But if, you still have issues over here in your personal life that affect your ability to function or be at your best self in other areas, then what is the point of being good over here and suffering in this area that really does matter? Because if all that goes away, what you have is your relationships, and that stuff. So
I agree.
We'll follow.
So who knows? Maybe season 2 of SKYNS will be
I went to therapy.
Kyle on therapy. But yeah,
you have to make room for all of it. You know, even with in meditation, all that stuff, we make room for all the emotions, all the experiences, negative or positive.
Yes.
Because you're human, and that's what life entails. Everything is not always great. Everything isn't always sweet. But trying to deny what you feel when you're having hard experiences or challenging experiences doesn't help. Helps to keep you stuck. If you acknowledge where you are, what you feel, it helps you to move through it.
Yeah, you know what? Change is hard.
Oh, change is so hard.
Any change is hard.
Change is terribly hard.
Like changing professions, changing your skill set, moving a house, switching your business, all that. It's a hard thing to do. But the hardest thing to change is yourself. Like when you're trying to make personal changes, especially for me, because like you said, like I hear you guys when you talk to me. But I know that I'm not going to do it until I'm ready to do it. And that's a difficult thing to do. Like that's a hard thing to do, to just say, all right, you know what? And that's been the other thing that was part of the self-doubt thing. When I was younger, I knew that anything I thought like I wanted to do, boom, I just do it.
Right.
Like now I'm like, can you do that? Can you get in shape? Mm-hmm. Like I'm asking myself these questions instead of just doing it. Like I know I can, but there's this little
and also
doubt
the reality
monster.
is that it's harder now.
Yes,
because you're older.
That does not. So here's
it'll take longer. And here's where patience would come in.
Here's the real side of me. I don't care about none of that. I don't care that it takes longer. I don't care that it's harder.
Maybe we need to make it a competition, and that'll motivate you, because nothing motivates you like.
This is how I did everything. Like people used to say, Kyle, how'd you get good grades? Because I saw somebody else get a 95. I wanted to get a 96. Like you don't have a higher grade than me. Like that's just how I've been. But yeah, I never had this little doubt monster that crept up recently. It's just like,
I'm familiar with that doubt monster. I've struggled with that all my life. Change has been hard. I know that I have improved and progressed dealing with change and adapting and adjusting. And part of that came from me, my experiences with having to go back to Barbados so often, like within the past, since like 2014, back and forth. I have to pick up my life, interrupt my whole thing that I had going on. Like, I was it was like 2013. I had like modeling gigs and doing hair modeling and all that stuff. And I was making jewelry at the time and trying to get my business. But I'd always have to move and relocate. So each time I came back, what I found is that it was taking me less and less time to adjust. And I was working on that consciously. So it's less and less time to get back into the groove.
Right.
Until it was just like, okay, I only need like a few days to readjust and recalibrate. Part of that too is not really having a choice when you have other people depending on you.
Right.
And like taking care of my grandparents. Like, I didn't really have a choice but to snap back into it really quick, because whether or not I felt great or like, the change was difficult or not, I had to still handle my responsibilities. So yeah, change is definitely hard, and I empathize.
Yeah.
The doubt monster, I empathize. That's something I still struggle with.
I'm about to kill it. Doubt monster's dead. I'm gonna kill it. I don't like it. I've never.
But now you also know, because you couldn't, for a long time, like you couldn't relate to anxiety and the way that people usually experience anxiety and how it pops up.
Yeah.
But now you kind of understand.
It's still different. I guess maybe
a little bit more.
A little bit more.
You could empathize a little bit more than you were able to when you had
I'm like
no experience of it or no idea.
And not that I know it's real. I just didn't, and I empathize with it, but I just couldn't identify with it. I was like, what can you do?
Right.
So now, I do have that. But yeah.
But along the same lines, you recently showed me that video from
RadioHead.
Yeah. We talked about that. Was it last night? That
video was I saw that this week. So this music video is from the video Daydreaming. Radiohead is my favorite rock group. I used to have issues saying that because there's a lot of great rock bands, a lot of bands that I love, but it's without a doubt my favorite rock group. And I don't know. I was just reading stuff, and somebody was saying that was that the album that Daydreaming was off of, A Moon-Shaped Pool, I believe is what it's called, which was their 9th album. Was that their last album? Like, was that their goodbye album? Which I hope it's not, because Radiohead can always make more music, and I always love it. But so it just made me. I went to go listen to the song, look at the video, and then I was like, I watched the video because it came out like 2016. I watched it before, and I was just wondering, there has to be more meaning to this video than just being
just walking,
than just the stylistic. Yeah, because I mean, like, he was walking through all these different doors and he was
rooms.
Right. So I was like, what is the meaning behind this? So I started looking for, what people had put online as to what they found in the meaning. And then there was this awesome video on Vimeo where they had compiled, like, they went through the Reddit thread of Radiohead and the Daydreaming video, and they came to this awesome conclusion about what they thought the video means. Of course, this is all subjective.
They basically brought down all the symbolism that they could find.
Right. And, so to get into, we got to go a little bit into Radiohead history. Tom York and Radiohead is founded in 1993 with their first album. That was also the year that he met his longtime, his wife and the mother of his children. And at the time of the release of Daydream, he had been married to her and in Radiohead for 23 years. And he also divorced her that year, and she died 7 months later from cancer, which
they didn't mention in the analysis.
They didn't mention in the analysis, but that, to me, knowing that information plays a major part in the construction of this video. It was a video that, so there was a lot of numerology in it. There was a lot of the attention to detail as a creator.
Right.
Blew my mind. I was sharing this with just everybody I know, like, yo, watch this, because, and it wasn't just the video. I was sharing the breakdown of the video, because they had nods to the videos they made, the albums that they made, the number 20. They walked through 23 doors to symbolize the years that they had been in the group and in relationship. The number 6, which was motherhood, was prevalent everywhere. There was just so many references to his entire career and relationship.
Right.
And it was just such a beautiful piece of art to encapsulate the feeling he's had throughout the years of, how do I balance a relationship and a career where the demand is so high?
The pursuit of dreams.
How do you balance the pursuit of your dreams and the duties of being a family man? Right. In such a way. And that at the core is what that song has always meant to me. I like, when I heard that song, that's what it meant to me. And when I saw the video, and it didn't necessarily speak that to me, but then when I saw that breakdown, I was like, wow, they really did this in a way that was like amazing. Right. And at this point in my life, as I'm about to have a son, it meant even more. I was like, it just, I don't know. Like, I showed it to you, and you kept asking me, well, what does this mean?
Right. Like, to you is really what it meant. What does this mean to you?
Right.
And I think what I gathered was that you felt kind of seen, and like you saw something that you could relate to in terms of the questioning in that whole the journey, the questioning of balance, and if you're,
right, what
does everything mean?
So, if you listen to Radiohead, you're aware, but if you're not, like, they put in a lot of Easter eggs. They're very cryptic. At the end of the song, there's this backwards, like, the vocals are reversed.
Yeah.
So if you play it backwards, it says half of my love, half of my life, which can refer to both things. It could refer to his relationship with his wife, and it can refer to his relationship with his career. And as somebody who is filled with dreams and is filled with ideas and passions and things that they want to create, I fully understand the being pulled in multiple directions. Like, that's one of my biggest concerns as well. This is one of the things that brings me the most stress, is like,
how do you do it?
How do you do that? How can I have all these aspirations to create things and and it's not necessarily being a star. It's like, but that's kind of like that comes with the territory like of success in this field.
I think that even if you aren't a star and even if you aren't an artistic person or a person who has these passionate dreams that you have, when you are in the space of becoming a parent or spouse and you have like family responsibilities, I think there's a level of guilt that you always have to manage. So even for people who are just working people,
right,
going to work every day, not that they don't have dreams, but you're going to your 9 to 5 every day. And, you know, people are aware of the fact that they might be missing moments with their kids, but what else can they do but go to work to make a life for their kids?
You know right? What the difference is with 9 to 5s and careers like what I'm in and what I'm stepping in and hoping to happen is there's more structure there.
Right.
Like, and I think that's important for especially for children. Like, you know, if there's a birthday party, you're going to be there. If you're Tom York and you're a rock star.
I'm laughing because you're remembering that Blueface video that you showed me.
Right, Blueface.
He out there streaming. Don't forget his kid's birthday party.
Well, I'll never be that.
Talking
bad.
about you're embarrassing.
So if you don't know, Blueface was on Twitch streaming, and one of his baby moms. I don't know how many baby moms he got. I don't know his whole deal. Maybe that's his only one. I don't know what it is. But
man.
his girl called him. He put her on speaker, and she's snapping on him, talking about, "You supposed to be over here at your baby's birthday party." And he takes it off speaker. He's like, "But I'm streaming," and like it's hilarious.
It's hilarious, but it's ridiculous at the same time. It's ridiculous,
but who knows how much money he's getting from Twitch? Like,
okay,
he should remember. He should have. You should know.
Yeah, but
I can't
obviously,
cover
but also these are moments that you can't get back.
Yes.
So, at the end of the day, even that being an extreme and ridiculous case, we may laugh at it or whatever the case may be. The fact is that living in the society that we live in, you are trading something for something else.
Yes.
You work, you're trading time for money, right? So if you are on Twitch, you are trading time with your kid for that money you're making on Twitch. And then you have to decide, based on your priorities, whether or not it's worth it. That was
another thing.
When you get home and you interact with your kid and you can manage the guilt, or whether you feel guilt or not about your kid being disappointed about you not being there. Now, there will be times that, you just can't because that's life.
Right.
But
that was another thing about the video that I think that meant something to me, at least. Like the rooms he was walking through, if you're imagining that those are the rooms of his family, he's just passing through them. Like he never interacted with anybody there. There was no interaction. He's just passing through these rooms that could be his family dinners, could be his kids on holidays. Like he's just passing through them.
Right.
And there's another thing that
they didn't mention that in the
They didn't mention that, but that's something that when I've always felt when I watched it the first time, I was thinking, man, my man's just passing through life.
Right.
Like that's how I took it. And I feel like at a certain point, RadioHead was considered to be, and is still considered by many to be the biggest rock band in the world. Like, if they have a date, it's sold out. I don't care where it is or what it is.
Right.
And the demand on his time from the world compared to the demand on his time from his family, how would one balance that? An interesting case on the opposite end is Rick Moranis. Rick Moranis was a movie star in the making. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Ghostbusters. If you're an 80s, 90s baby, you know Rick Moranis.
Let me look up.
You when you Google Rick Moranis, you might not know the name.
Right. I'm
sure
I'll know his face.
When you Google his face, you'd be like, oh, that dude. Rick Moranis is on the come up. He was a very popular comedian. Yeah, pull him up. And his wife died. Like he had young kids. His wife died. And he decided he was going to retire from the movie industry. And you recognize him, right?
Yes.
And he decided to be a stay-at-home dad.
Allen.
And he just like in the last 3 years decided he was going to re-enter the entertainment world and try to make a little comeback. And everybody was really happy to see him. But that is a rare decision to make because, opportunities like being the biggest rock star in the world, even though Tom York was completely uncomfortable with it, he also understands that that's very rare.
Right.
Like, even when you look at NBA players, so you look at LeBron James, and I think he's done a great job of balancing being one of a global sports icon and a family man. I think he's, if you look at his kids, as far as we can see, if you look at his kids and how they've grown up because they've been in the spotlight, I think he's done an excellent job, the best you can of balancing.
Right.
But even that, 82 game schedule and 100+ games when you start including the playoffs, all of those games ain't home. That's half the year. More than half the year, he's not at home.
Right.
And he's going to be missing stuff, and there's things he's not going to be. And he did he tried really hard to be there. Like, he was at his son's AAU games. He did a lot. He did what he could do.
To I don't even want to say compensate, but to be present when he was present.
Right, to be present. But it's difficult when you're operating at that level of success, or when you aspire to that level of success. And these are some of the concerns some of the things that have been pressuring me, because, this is the area that we're stepping in. I mean, we have a music group.
Yes.
If SKYNS blows up and we get the opportunity to go on tour with Jamiroquai, like, I'm gonna be like,
oh, we going?
Oh, we out. Right? So now we gotta bring baby SKYNS.
We can homeschool. That was the plan anyway.
So, but this is what I'm saying. We have to make. It's not going to be normal. It wouldn't be a normal life, and then you start questioning that.
I get it. But all I'm saying is I think that regardless of what you do, there's always going to be some level of questioning with, am I doing enough for my child? Am I doing the right thing? Am I spending enough time? But I get that there's the added pressure because of the lack of structure, because of,
at any given moment,
right,
something could, and it could be positive. And I'm not saying that, I'm not saying blow up in a negative way. Something could blow up, boom. And now you have to bust a move. Like, say I write a script and somebody wants to produce it and they're like, hey, you got to come out to LA for 4 months. What am I going to do? Like, this is the life that we chose. Right. And I think that video and that song did an excellent job and that breakdown really did an excellent job of showing Tom York looking back on his life and looking at the decisions that he had to make.
I remember one thing I did say, because in the analysis they said he's walking away from the exit every time he's, going through a door. And my thing is, like, every door is an exit and an entrance. Yep. So he might be walking away from an exit, but he's always exited a room before he enters another one.
So what I think they meant by that, because if you watch the video, there's exit signs. There's
a
lot of
I understand that.
But one of the things that Tom York often talked about and RadioHead often talked about was just exiting, like, the whole structure of music, the spotlight. And I think that's kind of what he meant by that. Like, he wasn't walking through the big exit and just saying, I'm done with music. I get, like, forget about me, everybody. Which, that's another thing. Once you get there, you're there. You can't tell people to, like, if I saw Rick Moranis, I know it's Rick Moranis, even though he decided to retire. Like, you're in the public eye. You can't take it back. Like, we can't forget you, which I think is one of the things that drives celebrities crazy, because they want to have they want to have some normalcy, and there's nothing you can do. We know you now.
Normal is relative, man.
Normal is relative.
Normal is relative.
Yeah.
Even when you're not a celebrity, because what's normal for you and your family isn't normal for me and my family.
Very true. Y'all love some spice. I'll be eating that spicy food. That was not normal for me. That is
part of Caribbean culture. You gotta have a little spice tolerance.
Listen, I love it. I love the shared cultures. That's what I love about sharing cultures. I love that there's differences. I don't want there to be a regular, but spicy, you can't do it.
Hopefully, baby SKYNS.
I know you've been trying.
I've been trying. Whatever spice I can manage.
You're trying to make sure he has the palate. I mean, what can I tell you? I don't know if that's genetic or cultural.
It might be.
It might be.
It might be. But hopefully that gene just skips this one.
All right. I wouldn't be mad at it. I want him to enjoy the,
spice makes everything better.
I want him to enjoy all your family's foods. My mom likes spice. She put some spice on stuff. So it's my dad's fault. Again.
Every episode.
Poor. It's your fault.
The blade. Every episode, the blade.
He don't do no spice. He worse than me.
Give him a break.
He worse than me. Man. What else we got on here?
Okay, so.
Oh, I want to say this. Shout out to Ryan. Ryan's been getting in shape. He's going to Jamaica with the Divas trip. And he's been, I've been watching my guy get in shape. He's been being consistent on the workouts. Shout out to Divas in Heels. They just started their podcast with Manson Media as well. Their first episode went really good. Shout out to Bianca. Her episode
Amazonian
Nights podcast. We're growing over here at Manson Media. If you are thinking about getting into podcasting and you don't know what to do, or you want it to look really good and you're like, I don't know how to do that, hit us up. Contact us. We'll
what is it? Manson Media LLC on Instagram.
Yep.
Manson Media Production.
LLC boys.
Production on Facebook.
LLC Twitter.
On Facebook.
Manson Media Production Network
on Facebook. Yes.
Yep. Or you can contact me or Ryan. Or Apollo.
Who is Ryan Fagan Real Estate on Instagram and not Ryan Got the Bread.
Yeah. Should change it though.
He should.
You could find it. You could hit that hashtag.
The brand is so strong.
You can hit that hashtag and find him for sure. But what's next?
So, gosh. Here we go.
Oh,
Kevin Samuels versus Dr. Umar. Ding, ding.
Yeah, I can't wait for this one. So.
Oh, boy. I loathe these conversations. I really do. Oh, my gosh. Because why?
Speak your piece first.
Why? First of all, Dr. Umar, the video that you're about to talk about, him talking about Kevin Samuels, my question is, you keep standing up outside this building.
First
is that
of all,
the school?
Tell people who he is.
Is that the school?
What if people
I
don't
know who he is.
Yes, you do.
Who is he?
Yes, you do. Okay, so let's give a little bit of context for
anyone
who might not be familiar.
Dr. Umar is a person who collected money from people to build a school for black boys, and no one's seen the school.
I mean, there's some truth to that.
There's a building, but there's no school happening.
There's some truth to that, but that's not what he's known
Apparently,
for.
he has a PhD, and he also said that he is a descendant of Frederick Douglass, and Frederick Douglass' real descendant said...
You're just going to go down the list of doubts. You're just going to check the doubt list.
And he also says things 3 times in a row for emphasis so that he sounds like he's making sense to people who don't know any better. He got some orator skills.
He does. He is a talented orator. He has a huge following, especially amongst, what would you call his followers?
Pan-Africanists.
Pro-black. Pro-black people.
Yes. No, let me not, because we're not going to sully the word. Woke people who call themselves woke, but woke to a point.
Yes,
I would say, because he's also said things that have been homophobic and anti-trans and misogynistic. Are we getting up? Is that an?
Ryan's watching the video now.
Pull up the video so I can play it
Oh.
on the board.
So Ryan's trying to pull up the video. So there's a video of Dr. Umar, who is he's a pro-black Pan-Africanist who has, I believe, did he teach anywhere? I don't know if he taught, but he gained prominence from the Hidden Colors DVDs, which were...
that wasn't him.
He was in it.
He was in it?
I think he was in it.
He was in that? I don't know if he was in that. I know that's... I don't want to say his name either.
I think he was in that. I think that was part of his rise to prominence.
Maybe.
You've seen many of his appearances on The Breakfast Club, and
he's on there.
He's on there a lot,
quite frequently.
And yeah, he talks about a lot of black stuff, which I also do, but just a little bit differently. That's a good song. You can't mute it, huh?
And also, why is it not going off?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I forgot to put the phone on Do Not Disturb, which I do every episode.
So he didn't start it. So we gotta bring in Kevin Samuels, because that's who Dr. Umar is. But Kevin Samuels,
who we've been talking about,
who is
much to my chagrin is
Ryan's life coach. That's fake. That's fake news, everybody. That's not true. I'm not gonna do my boy like that. But Kevin Samuels is he a life? Yes, he's a life coach. He is someone who works with quote unquote high value men.
Image consultant.
He's an image consultant, and he's gained prominence.
Does he work with high value men?
That's what he said. That's where his immediate audience was. So that's what his first group was. Like this is what he said. Before he rose to fame, internet fame, by talking to women, he was talking only to men. He worked only with image consulting men and life coaching men. I want to
see the receipts.
He said he didn't open it up to women, and when the problem that he said these men were having was that there wasn't enough women that understood them. So he opened up his platform to women. And now he's gained a lot of notoriety. He's super hot in these streets, these YouTubian streets. And his thing is he calls it being honest, and he, in my opinion, tears down a lot of people, and he does tear down both men and women.
Yes,
but he has a particular
disdain for black women.
He tears down black women. So this is how both these men are known. They had, Kevin Samuels had some viral videos that went viral on World Star Hip Hop. He's been seen on virtually every podcast once, and right now he's a hot topic. And on one of his shows, a clip that went viral a little bit was him. A woman asked him to speak to black women like Dr. Umar does. Play the video.
I mean, Dr. Umar Johnson, the man who has 2 children by 2 different women that he never married. Dr. Umar Johnson, the guy that for the last 10 years has not built brick one of a school he's collected money from. Dr. Umar, hold on, ma'am. Dr. Umar Johnson, the man who calls you queen, mother, goddess, and all this other kind of stuff. And again, for those who are keeping score, this is another woman who comes on and says, talk to us more like Umar. The Prince of Pan-African, Big Papa's in the house. Run my donations. I mean, shout out to Umar. I got no problem with the dude, but I think it's funny y'all keep coming over here asking everybody to talk like Umar. Queen Mother Golly, cocoa butter and sea moss gold and shit.
I'm going to speak.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Barely for me.
I got Umar.
All right. So this is what Kevin Samuels said. And this was a few weeks ago. So when he said that, everybody was like, is Umar going to reply to this? Like,
of course he is.
So if you know anything about Dr. Umar.
And he did.
He does not back down from beef, even when it's from people who share basically the same mindset as he does. Like there's been these pro-black beefs that he's been involved with. And what did he tell the one dude? I'm 6'4". Yo, he be saying some funny stuff. But anyway,
I could lose weight, but you can't get no taller.
You can't get no taller. I could lose the weight, but you can't be 6'4".
I hate it. I hate it so much.
It's hilarious. But anyway, our producer's stepping up today, Ryan. So Ryan got the clip that Umar said that was directed at the YouTubian Kevin Samuels.
Power and strength into our beautiful African sisters. That's right. I'm going to build you up. And what makes it so bad about these so-called life coaches, some of them actually regurgitate a lot of Dr. Umar talking points. People send me clips. People send me clips of some of these YouTubian opportunists, so-called life coaches, and I'm seeing some of them quote me verbatim without giving credit to their source. And some of them claim to not even like me. So why are you quoting my material and not referencing me? You obviously watch me. You obviously watch me because too much of my material is coming out of your mouth. It's a whole group. There's at least 12. I think I've counted 12 different YouTubian beta male wannabe life coaches that are out there slandering black women, attacking black women, degrading black women. I count about a dozen. I'm going to call them the dirty dozen of division. The triple D, the dirty dozen of division. There's about 12 members of the dirty dozen of division,
Made of
12
super
beta males,
cult.
YouTube
Dirty
life coaches,
dozen of division.
who are
Humanly volatile.
trying to build a platform by making black women feel bad. I don't like it. I can't appreciate black men trying to make a dollar off of making black women feel bad. And unfortunately, our black women, some of them are so thirsty for validation that they're participating. They're participating in the attacks and slander against the black female community, and that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable.
All right. You're hot.
Are we done?
All right. Go ahead. Go ahead. Let it go.
Some of our black men are so desperate for validation that you are taking applications
Yeah, you keep.
and they're sending them in.
Yeah. He took
How about that?
applications. He took applications.
I'm taking applications.
Ryan's taking applications. What's wrong with taking applications? He wants to build them up, like he said. He wants to build up his black queens. Protect black queens
As
by any
long
means.
as
I really
they
stand
are
by this. This is not a
heterosexual,
joke.
they're cis and heterosexual, sure.
So, here's my thought. I can't wait to see this. I hope they go live. I hope Triller gets involved. I would love to see this.
What, do you want this on Versus?
I want it our actual Versus.
Oh my gosh.
I want them to have a platform. I want there to be.
No, I don't want them to have a platform.
I want it to be like a great debater stage.
I
where
don't
they're
want
facing
any of
each
them
other.
to make money off of this. I don't want any of them to make money off of this.
Oh, they're gonna make. First of all, they're already making money.
This has been going on for too long. At the expense of black women. This has been going on for too long on both ends.
Okay, so I do have this is a problem I have. Why do black women keep calling Kevin Samuels? What is because I see so many people
Because they bought into this idea that they need to be partnered, and then they're buying into this idea that they need to be partnered with a quote high value man.
So if you do buy into that, why are you going? Have you not seen what he does? If you disagree with him, I'm saying, I'm sure there are some women that think okay, he has the answers. If you don't think he has the answers, why are you calling him?
I can't answer.
I gotta say something.
I knew you were coming on.
Sorry.
I knew he was coming on.
Kevin, nothing gets Ryan got the bread out of the chair like Kevin Samuels.
I knew he was coming.
All right. I thought about this a lot because I had the same question. I'm like, why do they call if they're just... The reason why is because they're living in the Matrix and they're like Neo and they're like, something's wrong here. And they can't put their finger on what the problem is between men and women. So they are searching for the answer, like many of us are, because this modern world has changed relationships and there's no rules and we're going crazy. So there's a glitch in the Matrix and people are trying to figure out. So they might not agree with what he's saying, but they are open to whatever's happening right now is not working.
This goes back to the conversation we were having the other day. Me and Ryan had a conversation where we were talking about that. I agree. I think that's actually accurate. I think that's 1,000% true. I was telling him that things are becoming and will become more fluid. Many people don't like that. As we said earlier, change is difficult, but things are changing, and there's a lot of changes. There's changes in income structure with women, particularly black women, earning more.
Right.
We're still under attack from the system. There's flux with that. We are trying to change fundamentally how we interact with American politics. There's a lot of change in the black community, and I'm speaking only to the black community because all of these people are black. Dr. Umar speaks to black people. Kevin Samuels, while he may have fans from other people, he speaks mostly to black people. His target audience is black people. This is a black conversation. So the dynamics between black men and women are changing. What people want in relationships is shifting, and that makes people unsure of what they should be looking for or what the other party wants or what is someone's value in a relationship. And it leaves room for people like Kevin Samuels and or Dr. Umar and or Derek Jackson and or Justin LeBoy, who I don't think he really is in this group because he's just a reposter. But it leaves room for people who have these generic phrases to rise up and have a niche in terms of directing people. I don't know, you know, how do you feel about that?
I think that, yes, things have changed. Things are changing. I am just not on board with the Kevin Samuels high value message because he is really talking about material and financial wealth and equating that to value.
Yes.
Yes, we live in a world where we need money to survive, money to thrive, you know, to get all the things that we need, the resources, the access, or whatever. But value is subjective. Value is personal. What you value may not be what the other person values.
Right.
And so I think that the women who are going on Kevin Samuels' show or listening to Kevin Samuels and taking his word as gospel with this high value man rhetoric, whatever it is, need to really sit down and think about what is it that I actually value that I want in a relationship.
Well, here's what I
from
think.
a partner, from a man. But what does that mean? He is just talking about money. And money, but money does not mean that you're going to get someone who's going to treat you with respect, who is going to honor who you are as a person, support you, you know, emotionally or whatever else. It doesn't mean any of those things. What he's talking about literally just means a man with money. How is it not correct?
You look up Kevin Samuels' definition of high value man, and
what is it? What is it?
those are the only two of the four categories that he's talking about.
What are the other two?
So
You
here's
gotta look it up if you're gonna talk about it.
so here's how I feel about all of this. You can, and I said this before, you can do whatever you want. If a woman wants a quote unquote high value man, however you define it, I'm not knocking her, and maybe he has the answers to getting that. My problem is when people rise to prominence, whether it be Dr. Umar or Kevin Samuels, people kind of default to their thinking, and they don't do any more critical thinking. They just listen to them. And I see a lot of this happening with Kevin Samuels recently. Like there's a lot of men out here just regurgitating what Kevin Samuels saying, even though they don't fit into what he's talking about.
Right.
There was a dude on Twitter.
That dude.
There's a dude on Twitter who said Saweetie is not a 10 out of 10. And you know,
high value men don't
high
want
value men
women like
wouldn't want her.
Saweetie. They wouldn't take her to business dinners.
Yeah, you can't take her to a business dinner. She's not somebody who could command the room. Blah 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 blah. You need somebody like Gal Gadot, which to me that sets me off because now I know that you're just, and not any knock on Gal Gadot, but now you're just being racist against your own people. Like you're being colorist. You don't like black women. Now you're just putting black women down because the other women he mentioned, like you wouldn't want Meg, you wouldn't want Cardi, you wouldn't want Saweetie. And
like there aren't other representations of black women besides black women who rap.
But even in that case, they don't dress like they're rapping all the time. Like,
right.
like that's it.
And also there are
when you
successful
look at,
women, which means that they have to have some kind of business acumen.
Saweetie and Meg are both college graduates who, you know, they're great entrepreneurs. They have very successful careers, much more successful than this dude who is in his room with his Naruto poster on his wall talking about a high value man. Like that's.
Why are you caping for high value men? You not there yet. And
not to knock Naruto. I'm more likely to have a Naruto poster than I am to have Kevin Samuels candles.
Did you buy one, Ryan? Have you bought a Kevin Samuels candle yet? Have you?
But what I'm saying is you can do whatever you want to do. Like I feel like you could be an anime geek and love that, and you could find a girl who also loves anime. Right. Y'all could go to Comic-Con together and y'all could have a beautiful relationship and love each other because you guys have common ground. Don't let any of these people who are telling you what's going on in the world. Define your world.
But did you see the video of Kevin Samuels with the white girl?
One, they were Brazilian, which they're still white. I know you think they're white, but they're Brazilian. He was in South America.
Okay, they're white Latinas.
Yeah, they're white Latinas. He's in South America, and look, I've never seen him around black women.
Oh, right. Okay.
So like that's the first time I ever saw him
we've seen him around black women.
I haven't. No, I have not. I've seen him on lives with black women where he's in his character.
Right.
That was him being a human.
Where he's so like goo goo gaga.
Yeah, he likes girls. That's what it looked like. I don't look. Maybe he likes girls. That's a whole nother thing.
I'm not saying he don't like girls, but clearly there's a type of girl that
I don't know what his type is. I can't like for me to. So when I saw that clip and you sent it to me, I didn't reply because I was like, I don't know. It doesn't mean it's not enough. It does. It's not. That's not enough evidence for me to say.
Listen, any white women out there who down for the cause, call into Kevin Samuels show. Let's see.
I'd love to. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Let's see.
That's what I would like to see. How does he talk to white women?
White people on the show before.
I've heard him
I don't
talk
watch
to a
the show,
white
so I
guy.
wouldn't know. Thank you for letting me know.
I've seen him talk to a white guy, but you know the big complaint from black women is that he tears down black women, which he does. You know, he does do that, but I think my thing is he just tears everyone down because if you're a life coach and someone needs advice for their life, you have to break their life down. You have to make their life seem like it needs improvement.
You know, there's a how. There are other life coaches in business that do not do that.
That's how he does it. And
people seem
working.
to, you know what? People
I can't knock it because it's working. People,
they're sadistic. That's what it is.
Maybe, but also, you know, maybe he sometimes you have to break somebody down to build them up. I don't necessarily believe in how he's doing it. I think that's what he thinks he's doing. Like if you ask me, I think he'd say, well, look, I'm telling you why your life is going the way it is.
Well, there's no reason for him to think otherwise because people watching his videos.
My point, I'm not talking to him to tell him to change things. I'm talking to people who don't know what's going on. And I'm like, look, any of these thought leaders, whether it be even I used to get in arguments with Dr. Umar followers all the time. I'm doing my Voodoo Man series. I'm talking about black ideologies of freedom. What does freedom look like? How can we free ourselves from the system? Which is something that Dr. Umar, you know, that's where he lives in that.
Right.
So I talk to his followers all the time, and they're like, well, Dr. Umar said this, Dr. Umar said that. And I'm like, that's cool, but have you ever thought of anything outside of what he said? Right. Like there's more teachings. What do you say? Yeah, what do you think about this? I'm open to everybody's opinion. I think it's great that, you know, I actually think it's great that Kevin Samuels is out there offering his opinion. I just don't like how people are taking it as gospel.
Here comes Ryan got the red.
I'm glad you said that because you don't believe people have agency and independent thought. You just think everyone's a lemming. And I think that's what you're afraid of, right?
That's what they do.
But not everyone does that. These are the extremists, right? So like, I think there's going to be a loud minority of people who follow Dr. Umar and go into conspiracy and take all. But I think at the core of all these conversations is people are trying to figure out the new world order or like what all these changes are in flux.
My pushback
and so it's important for these conversations to be had because with things changing, I know that you guys don't believe in any sort of structure, but you have to have, there has to be some kind of organization to the world, and maybe the organization of the world will change, but there has to be a organization.
There will always be. So there's two things that I'm going to mention. First, I'm going to say that people do just follow stuff, and more than ever, people get into these bubbles. Like social media creates bubbles of thought that if you think a certain way, you'll find more people that think that way. You'll think that this is accurate. And this is proven by so many weird theories and weird groups of people that have found their group and emboldened them to even dive deeper in that.
But why do you think certain ideas win over others?
That's a great question. Here's why there's certain ideas. Because when people are ostracized, when people feel alienated, or people are not having success, like Kevin Samuels, a lot of times, the reason that men are looking to him is because they're not having success in their relationships or with women. And a lot of times he's speaking to men who I think could be on the cusp of becoming, what are they called?
Incels.
Yeah, they're on the cusp of becoming incels a lot of times. Like the men that are on his show, not the men that just watch the show. The men that are on his show, I'm listening to them talk. They're like, yeah, I'm 40. I'm at home. I never had a girlfriend. I don't know. Like, I'm like, you're on the cusp of becoming an incel, bro. And he's trying to help them, figure out what the patterns in their life are that need to be broken to not do that, which is fine.
One thing I do find similar between some of those men that do call in for Kevin Samuels, with the few clips that I've listened to while you were listening, and some people who do follow Dr. Umar, is that the critical thinking skills, the level of analysis.
Well, this is what I'm saying. It's
not
even that. It's that they're on the outside looking in. Like, if you're a black guy in America and you feel like, man, I don't know why I can't get a job. The system got me caught up. And Dr. Umar comes and he tells you, like, this is how it was designed. This is what's supposed to go on.
People attach to narratives
they
that empower them
themselves to that. They find a community in that. When Kevin Samuels is telling you that, look, women don't really know what they want. Their idea of how relationships work is not right. And you're a man and you've been having trouble with women. You're thinking, yeah, this is right. Sense. And you latch onto these ideas, and then you latch onto the person who is preaching these ideas. It's not nothing new. It's the same as church and religion. And when you have a preacher who's very charismatic, that's what these guys are.
I think with Kevin Samuels is that, because if I share a Kevin Samuels thing,
yeah,
no one will comment except for people who disagree. But I will get messages from many guys saying, yo, that's true.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm not saying I agree with everything.
Who else?
But hold on.
I'm going to ask you one quick question. Who else did that happen with? Who else was saying stuff like that? People would say, like, I posted this pro-Trump thing and everyone would argue with me.
It is like that.
But it's a cult.
It's not a cult.
This is what I'm saying.
It's not a cult.
No, it's fine. But it's fine to say that. It's okay.
No, that's a bad characterization of the situation. It's that Kevin Samuels says certain things that ring true to many people.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been allowed to be said, or you would be shamed for it.
I don't know if that's true.
It is true, because that's why they're secretly messaging people saying, yo, I agree with this, but they publicly will not be allowed to say it. We live in this cancel culture world where if you do not follow the wokeness that's
cancel
out
culture
there,
is not real.
Yes, it is. They canceled Trump. They deleted Trump, and literally his influence went away when they banned him for Facebook
Trump,
and Instagram.
Which they should have done a long time ago.
Trump had an attack on the White House.
You open up a can of worms.
Not the White House. He had an attack on the Pentagon. Like, what are you talking? Like, he incited that. That was like he's been in the state capitol.
He's been inciting. They're going to ban Umar. Then they're going to ban Kevin Samuels, and they're going to ban all these other people.
They're not going to ban Kevin Samuels. They ain't going to ban Dr.
They're not banning nobody.
All I'm saying is that's evidence that you can cancel people.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Listen, the people who have actually been getting canceled, like really silenced, you don't hear about.
I know, and you're supporting canceling people.
I'm not
when you support canceling the president.
I don't think cancel. I think that's a phrase that people say, but it don't happen.
All I'm saying is
who's been canceled? Harvey Weinstein committed crimes, went to jail. R. Kelly committed crimes, went to jail. Who else been canceled?
All I'm saying is fundamentally,
Donald Sterling was a racist. They took his team.
Fundamentally, there are some truths to what he's saying, and that's why it's identifying with people. And it's not allowed to be talked about, or you will be shamed. And
you won't be shamed.
Just like I don't agree with Trump supporters, but they feel similarly when they want to talk about.
You should be shamed.
They're not
canceled. And that's the problem, though.
But that's the thing.
That's my personal opinion.
They're not canceled. Someone
they
agrees with Trump.
Allowed in public society.
They are.
Okay.
Have you looked at it?
Did you just see Nikita's reaction when they should be shamed? Okay, what she said, right?
And guess what? If you are pro Biden, the Trumpers will shame you. It's not the same. It's sides.
It's not the same.
It's the same thing.
I'll let y'all go.
I don't know why you think it's. I don't know why you think it's not the same.
But that's also the thing with why people latch on, because these people are able to drop little seeds of the actual truth and things that resonate. And then tell you all this other stuff, the fluff, the propaganda, the whatever else, and make it theatrical.
We live in a world of otherisms. All this stuff is otherism. The idea of Trump, and this is my biggest problem with Kevin Samuels. My biggest problem is he's not doing a good job of bringing men and women together. All he's doing is dividing them. Like I have never seen any of his stuff where it's like, yeah, this is gonna help build a foundation for a relationship, which is what he's saying he wants to do. Now, I know he says that all the time. Like, he says, yeah, women message me. And if that works, great. I'm not saying it doesn't. What I'm saying is the public comments, the things that go viral, promotes otherism. Just like Trump, just like when anyone is a hardcore believer of anything, you're now othering other people. You know, if you're a Christian and you don't think that, you know, there should be Jews allowed in your neighborhood, you're othering them, then I can't get down with you.
Othering them when you shame them is what I'm trying to say. Is that what happens is these groups are becoming even more othered because they are being contained there because people are judging and shaming them.
No, they do it to themselves. This is what I'm saying. Like, look.
If you have an opinion, if, for instance, a pro-Trumper, you have an opinion, and your opinion that you hold is endangering my life, I am gonna shame the heck out of you.
Right. There's a line where it's, you know, it's no longer just an opinion. There's a line where there's truth and there's fact, and that's a completely different thing. And I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, yes, it's cool for Kevin Samuels to believe in high value men, to say what he believes. I'm not ever called for canceling him. I'm not calling for canceling Dr. Umar. I'm not calling for canceling anybody. I want them to fight it out. That's what I want.
Ding, ding, ding.
But
we need a bell up here.
But the issue is people that follow them go to an extreme. Like, they have extremist followers, and they don't really understand. What do you want?
Everyone has an extremist follower. You
Okay.
can't judge people based off of their followers.
That's why I said I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to people that are listening to them.
Do anything about the extremists.
My point is,
They're
people
extremists.
should not follow people that hard. They're all humans. This is the same thing I said with Derek Jackson. The same thing I'm saying with Kevin Samuels. Same thing I said with Dr. Umar. You have to, if they have some truth in there, cool, great. Listen to that. Use it.
Right.
But
the
understand
seeds
that,
out from the
yeah,
shaft.
like, everything they say is not gospel.
But, you know, again, the gospel is going to be subjective depending on your perspective and what it is that you want to feel empowered about when these people speak. So, and even along the lines of Kevin Samuels, like, the way that because one thing that I have on here is talking about why single mothers are ridiculed so much, especially in these. We've heard Kevin Samuels, the first one that went really viral was him talking to this lady, and she's a single mom.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, nobody's going to want you. You already got a kid, da-da-da-da-da. And
Right.
that's his usual thing. And my thing is, what is it about single? And he was raised by a single mom,
Right.
as far as I heard, are women anyway. So I keep saying this thing. I'm in these mom groups online, and I see women in there. Like, one post I remember standing out to me that I saw like last month or something like that. And this lady she's pregnant with her second child. She's a single mom, and she posted something on social media, talking about her experience, and people, including black men, went on her post and ridiculed her and shamed her for being a single mom again. And I'm like, where is the shame for the dad that isn't there? Why is it that it's so easy to target black women or black single mothers and speak so poorly of them when they're the ones that are sticking around, bearing the brunt of it and doing the work? Like, what is this? And a lot of these people have been raised by single moms. So is it that you resent your mom? Is that what it is? Is this your way of getting that resentment out? You take it out on other people, strangers online, whatever the case may be. But I find it really abhorrent that this is what I'm seeing so much of online, with this like disdain and ridicule of single mothers.
Yeah, it's messed up.
A lot of people didn't ask to be single moms. And even this, like, holding the whole thing about being married first before you have a kid, there are a number of people who get married and divorced and end up single parents. They don't expect it, but it happens.
Here's the big issue. There's got to be some kind of healing between black men and black women and the black community as a whole. And this is why, if you follow me on Facebook, you'll notice I almost always take the opposite side of whoever's attacking either one. I hate when I see black men attacking, whether it be single moms or black women in general, saying that, they're not as desirable to date due to their upbringing, or they don't have class, or whatever lies these black men are saying. I always go to bat for black women. I always go to bat for black men. I saw a post the other day that I showed you where this girl, apparently she has a new white boyfriend, and now she's over black men, and she thinks that we're the worst race to date. So I did the same thing. I said, my thing is, you can love whoever you want to love. I'm not
right, but you don't have to tear down anybody
I don't go
else
to the
in order
point
to do that,
or to the extent that you can only date within your race. I think that love is very interesting, and if you are lucky enough to find it in life, you should cherish it and value it, no matter how it comes. It doesn't matter what form it comes in. If you have a love in your life, cherish that. But that doesn't require you to down everybody else, or especially your own people.
Right.
There's a lot of self-hatred. There's a lot of that. I say this a lot. The same messaging that white people get about black people that makes them afraid, makes them dislike, makes them not like black people, makes them feel like we're ghetto, we're not worth employment, we're not worth living next to. They don't want us in neighborhoods. They don't want us to be in the elevator with them. It's the same messaging that black people get about black people. We live in the same country. We're not getting different messaging. And we internalize a lot of this self-hatred. We internalize a lot of these messages that our people aren't deserving of our love. And we think it's somehow a win if we can get something exotic, or if we can get something that's not black, like something better than black.
Right.
And that has to stop. That has to change. And funny enough, I think Dr. Umar would agree with me on all this. But and I don't think that Kevin Samuels would disagree with that. I just don't think that either one of them is going about it the right way in terms of how to heal. Because there has to be real conversations. And I think so many people are bringing in the baggage of their failed relationships,
right?
Their failed partnerships. I know a lot of black men who have been put through the ringer by black women in terms of, they had a kid and they don't let the dad see the kid. They use the kid as a pawn in terms of how to get funny. All
races do that. That's not just limited to black women.
It's not. Yes, that happens throughout all races. But I know black men think
right
that's a black woman trait
stereotype,
because that's who did it to them.
Right.
Now, not in this group chat I was in, or the comments that I was in, they were talking about how black men are more abusive, and I was like, well, every race has abuse. Like you're saying that if you date outside of black men, you're not going to be abused. You're looking for another race to save you. That's not accurate.
Right.
So it's the same conversation, but what's happening is because we're near each other, we have the pain
it's always
of
proximity.
being with each other,
yeah.
right? So we have to open that lens up and look at everything through that lens of the issues that we're having are issues of proximity and not issues of inherent problems with our race.
Right. And
I don't know if the conversations that Kevin Samuels is having is helping to heal, because I would love to live in a world where we are more healed. I don't think we're ever going to get to a place where everyone, that's not realistic. But I do think that there can be a much greater percentage, a much higher percentage of people who view the black race as a black person with higher esteem and higher love and higher value.
Right.
And I think we have to, I think there has to be more conversation between both parties. The biggest problem I have with Kevin Samuels is when someone disagrees with him or he thinks someone is not and trying to just listen to him, he cuts them off. I don't like that, because we have to have a dialogue. Like black men, and I said this is I leave this, and black men get mad at me every time I say this in comments. I say black men, we have to listen to black women. This doesn't mean you have to do what they say. We have to listen first. Like we have to hear what their issues are, hear what their problems are, hear what's going on inside of them. We have to hear that first. Black women, you have to listen to black men.
We have to listen to
we
each
have
other.
to, and there's no space to have any of these actual conversations where we're actively listening to each other and not trying to hurt each other, but just trying to actually come together to build a better community between us. Because when I look at what black women are saying, they don't feel safe around black men. There's room for improvement with us there. There's things that we could do as black men in the community to make our sisters feel safer. Black men, what do we want from our women? We want to feel like our women are more supportive of us. Okay, what does that look like? Like that's the conversation that needs to happen. But when you start saying that, everyone says, "Nah, they ain't trying to hear that. Nah, they trying to do this."
Simping.
Yeah, or you're simping now. Like, I don't know how that's simping. I'm trying to bring everybody to the table to have an
honest, transparent.
But nobody wants to do. No one wants to do the actual work. They just want to air their grievances out because they've been hurt, because their past hurt. Like, oh, she did me like this, so I'm gonna do them. That's how they all be. No, stop that. So that's where I stand on it. But anyway, I'd be very curious to hear. I'd be very curious to see a Triller versus.
Oh no, I don't want it. I don't want it.
Dr. Umar, build your school, bro.
This was a perfect time. Like, he could have just done an online thing, and
because that's what Kevin Samuels is gonna say. If they did one, he's gonna be like, "Where's your school? Where is your school?" That's what he would say. That's a big hitter. He's been on for years. Stop trying to make it an all boys school too.
Well, look, I mean, I'm not against that.
I am,
because I feel like black boys and men do need their space, but also if you're going to be teaching them, instilling them with homophobic, misogynistic,
that's misogynistic,
highly patriarchal
in its inception, in my opinion, as a man.
No, I don't think so. But I went to an all girls school. The boys' school was down the street. I think up until a certain, but I think up until a certain point, especially in stages of development, sometimes it is. What?
This is inconsistent with your whole ideology, right?
No, it is not.
It's inconsistent with my ideology.
No, not
Go ahead,
with
continue.
mine. What I'm saying is, when you're dealing with stages of development for children, in some cases, it might be okay to have boys by themselves up until a certain age where they can focus and,
I disagree completely.
And girls, for me, especially for girls, because I think for us, we become very conscious at an early age of male attention and the male gaze. And that distracts from...
This is...
a lot.
This is inaccurate. I think it's inaccurate. That's my opinion. I think that if you're trying to build a world where...
I'm not saying they don't come together at some point. I'm saying up until a certain age.
No, they should be raised together the whole time. Part of the reason
I'm not saying don't raise them together. I'm saying in school.
They should be in school together.
Educational setting.
Because here's why. When I was in school, especially early on, I was able to see the athletic proficiency, the intelligence. Before there was any romantic interest, I was able to see girls as people. I was able to just see them, just play with them like I play with everyone else. If you miss that, then you're always going to see the other sex as other, which is the biggest problem.
That isn't to say you aren't doing extracurricular stuff and you aren't.
Yeah, but it's just more like I think the more mixing, it's better. I don't see why, and this is part of the problem I always have with a lot of these pro-black ideologies that we have to build up the men first. I'm like, I've had this conversation many times.
I'm not saying build up nobody first. Build them up together.
You have to build up together. And to me, that means you have to put them in school together. What is it that boys need to learn that girls don't need to learn?
I don't know.
My point exactly.
What pours into your masculinity? I don't know.
This is my point. Like, there's not a subject that you need to learn.
I don't know. All I'm saying is developmentally, especially for girls, because we become so aware and distracted by knowing that boys are looking at us.
What age is that?
That could be as early as 10 years old,
right?
9 years old.
That's like 4th, 5th grade. That's around the time you're gonna start mixing anyway. If you're talking about middle, that's like 11. Everything before that is so important for you to have, meaningful interactions and friendships with members of the opposite sex. Like, I still remember having races with girls and thinking, well, wow, she's fast. Like, I remember these thoughts. That's part of the reason I feel like there's so much equality. To me, like, I have this conversation with Ryan all the time. I think that there's more that is shared between men and women than is different. There are differences, but there's more shared goals and shared desires. And that's basically how I operate. And I think when you separate early on, you're saying that there are inherent differences, just like segregation. If you put
I'm just saying based on my experience, because when I went nursery school, kindergarten, there was boys and girls. We were together,
right?
And then went to girls and boys school,
right?
And
nobody has an issue with how they were brought up. Barbados wild conservative and want to learn about
also, I'm not every school is gender specific, like just boys. Some are mixed. I'm just saying this was my experience,
right?
And I do see some value in it. For some, and as every child is different, for some children, maybe being in a school with just boys or just girls would work. And for other children,
I would never do it. I would never put nobody. I wouldn't even go.
You just
nope.
I'm not going to school today.
Not going to school. But what's next on the docket?
The last thing we have here is that Facebook post.
Oh yeah, you got to talk about that
we saw. So basically, let me pull it up. Basically, this business owner in Madison, Wisconsin, she posted basically a letter to this. I don't know if it's a nonprofit group, but it's supposed to be a group of women entrepreneurs that reach out, give funding to mentorship, all that stuff, provide resources
kind of venture capitalist group.
Kind of, yeah. I think that's basically what it was. Let me see if I can find it. And she basically found out like 2 weeks before this awards, whatever, they're giving out awards. She basically found out 2 weeks before the award show that she had got some award from this venture capitalist group, this group of, business women or whatever. And she wrote this letter on Facebook basically calling them out. She mentioned that, first of all, to not even notify a person, give them enough time knowing that they run a small business and most of their small business operation depends on them, and having to take time away from that, running their business and making money to come there for a non-monetary award defeats the purpose. 1, 2, she also detailed how she reached out to them on numerous occasions.
That was the real beef.
For
the first paragraph, I was like, but then I was like, oh, that's what the real beef is.
Yes, she reached out. This is what she said. In addition to the scheduling conflict, which could have been avoided with some more reasonable notice, I can't in good faith accept a non-monetary award of recognition from your organization at this time for the following reasons. Years ago in my startup phase, I reached out to your organization for help. I was well on my way to growing my business nationally. I am proud to say that I have grown it internationally. I researched your organization. I met all of the criteria for your Evergreen Fund, and I met with the founder. I was intent on having my business funded by and invested in by women. I thought as a woman, and especially as a woman of color, that I could thrive and create more opportunities for other women and people from communities that have been historically marginalized if I were embraced by a circle of strong women. Your organization was dismissive of me and essentially told me I wasn't ready for help. I was discouraged from even applying for the grant or competing for funding. I tried several more times to engage with their group in the hopes of positioning myself to be accepted, and the message I ultimately got was that I didn't belong. Right. She goes on to say more and basically calls them out for, I guess, I don't know if we could call it a phenomenon, but something that's basically happened, especially since George Floyd and all these businesses, corporate and these big organizations, doing performative, social justice, right? So like performative racial consciousness, the signs in the street, the messaging, the posters in the store, all this stuff, but not really actually doing anything that translates to helping the communities
when I first
that
started
they're
reading,
profiting off of these messages with.
When I first started reading that post, I was like, because collab awards, we giving straight up non-monetary. We ain't giving no money away. We was, I was like, whoa, this is how people feel about non-monetary awards? People feel like
but you're also not a venture capitalist organization.
Well, that's why, as I read further, I was like, okay. So really what her gripe was is, as a woman of color, she was mad that she had came to the same organization, asked them for some funding to help them, to help her expand more quickly. And with some mentorship, she thought she could have got to where she is faster. And they declined her. And now that she got there, they want to give her an award.
Which basically is like capitalizing on the work that she's already done.
So now they want to bring in her audience and her business and say like, look, and almost act like they were a part of it.
Right.
And I was like,
look how many good brown people we're awarding.
And I was very proud of her for
to.
Understanding, because as black business people, as black business people, and as black artists and creators, we have to be very aware of just our presence in certain situations, because we will be used for that.
Yeah.
They will put you in a picture.
This is what had to happen with Black Lives Matter last summer.
Right. Well, this is what happens all the time.
Right.
This is like, it's like when, not to keep mentioning the dude, but it's like when Trump wanted to meet with all these black celebrities, he was just using them for photo ops. Like he didn't really care about what their thing was. But this is not just something that, Republicans will do. It's something that liberals do, organizations will do.
Yes.
They won't really care about what you're talking about. They don't really want to support you in any real meaningful way. They just want everyone else to think that they're doing this.
Right. It's all about the image, the perception.
It was an image thing, and this was a perfect example of, they could have given her, they could have looked, if they were really doing research, they would have recognized that she had applied multiple times, and they could have said, we like what you're doing. We're sorry we missed out on it. Here's a award for, $5,000, and giving her some money to support a black business. And that probably would have changed everything. Like if they had actually given her something of actual value outside of just some recognition that she no longer needs from you.
Right.
Like now she no longer needs you, and now you want to come behind and jump on the bandwagon after it's already moving.
And
too late, Whitey. Too late. Like
and basically capitalize on the work. Right. And she mentions in there, like, there have been tears, there have been ups and downs, there have been moments where I didn't know I was going to make it.
Right.
And without your help, which this was your mission.
Right.
This is your mission that you said you were going to help women. And you haven't. At least you haven't helped me.
She also said there's other women of color that they didn't help.
In that area that they haven't helped.
So there seems to be a problem with this organization in terms of diversity, and actually helping. But the larger thing to me was, black people have to start taking this ideology more. Like, this is something that I struggled with for a while, is, because, they're giving an award. You could just, you think the nice thing to do is say, yeah, I'll take it. Thanks for the recognition. But we have to be very aware, and we have to recognize that we don't need you. We don't need all of you.
Hold these people's feet to the fire. Because then the other thing with this is that question of diversity.
I don't even care about holding their feet to the fire. We don't need them. Like that right there, I don't care about.
But this idea of diversity, which is why people are like, diversity is hogwash.
Yes.
And everybody's getting a diversity and inclusion certificate now because, the work needs to be done and all this stuff. But these organizations, when their idea of diversity is plugging one person into an organization, the system, the wheels already turning with the prejudice, the racism, all the other isms that are going on.
Right, the better,
and putting them there in a situation that is mentally, emotionally, and sometimes physically dangerous or draining for them at the very least. And then saying when they don't perform to their or holding them to a standard higher than they're holding their white colleagues to, like, oh, well, this is why we don't hire black people, or this is why we don't put brown people in this position.
Diversity don't work. You can't just plug different looking people.
You have to change the entire culture.
Right.
You're going to put people into
like
a
so
culture
better word
that
to me
is
you
antagonistic towards their entire existence.
You have to give equity to people. Like that's the better word. Like if you're going to bring black people in, you have to give them a percentage of what's going on. And that can look like a lot of different things. Like, you know, you can't just plug them in and say, we hired a black person, we're doing great. That don't mean nothing.
No, it absolutely doesn't.
You have to change the culture. You have to allow black people to change your culture. Like if you really want to do some work, let them do the like.
You have to listen
right.
to black people.
Right. You have to let them
listen
come in and
to
do what they do.
The people of color that you hire.
Or if you're a corporation or if you're a venture capitalist group, fund voices that are different than what you've been doing.
Right.
Like, and this was, you know, obviously they missed the opportunity with this woman and her business, but you know, but again, with black people, I love her energy. We don't, you know, if you're not going to do that, cool. We don't need you. And we have to start having that attitude more frequently of, you know, not just accepting everything because we're there.
Right.
We have to really look at what value it holds and how everyone else around it is going to benefit from us being there.
Yeah. I'm glad that she not only took this stance, but took the time to write this on Facebook and post it so that other people can see and kind of have a blueprint and feel inspired to maybe do the same thing, because I'm sure this is happening everywhere.
I wish I could have seen the women in that group's face when they read that.
Right.
Oh. I put up a post the other day asking for black-owned clothing companies to wear on a podcast. I'm wearing Dope Tribe Worldwide today. I've been wearing black-owned businesses every episode.
You have.
But I was very surprised with, I think it's like over 75 comments and like.
I think it's more now.
Yeah, it's probably more. 75 companies, and it was mostly all local. And I was like, wow, you know, we're really out here making some clothes. But I was glad to see the spirit of entrepreneurship amongst black people. I think that is something that's growing. I did a throwback Thursday post about the video we did for Katika a few years ago. Me and Ryan did for the Katika app, which was going to be like a central hub for black businesses. I think that people are getting more focused on buying black, supporting black, and black people are trying to own more. The idea of ownership and the idea of, you know, understanding your worth and value is something that has become more prevalent. We're no longer happy just to get a seat at the table. We want to have our own table.
Right.
We want to have our own businesses. We want to have, you know.
She said that too. I built my own table.
Right. Like that's really been the new wave in the last few years, and I'm really happy to see that because, you know, Malcolm X said it best. Like, you know, if you,
I don't know that it wasn't ever.
Oh no, it definitely was.
I think
that
we've always had a sense of entrepreneurship. It just hasn't necessarily been as organized or well thought out.
Not as much as this. And you can always, like, I always try to, you can tell a lot about where people are by the celebrities and sports icons of the culture in a weird way. Like, if you look at the energy of Muhammad Ali and Ryan, what's my guy, that Carlos and Tommy from the Olympics? I can't remember their last name. With the fists. With the fists.
Mm-hmm.
I met them too. This is really bad. But they raised the fist at the Olympics. If you look at Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Russell, Jim Brown, if you look at that era, all of the black athletes, you look at Sam Cooke, they were speaking out, black artists, entertainers, they were speaking out against, you know, not only white supremacy, but they were speaking for black entrepreneurship. They were speaking up for black rights. And that kind of died down in the 80s and 90s as athletes became more fiscally responsible because their wealth was tied to corporations.
Right.
Like, their silence was, I hate to say the silence was bought, but that's what it looks like. And there was a great deal of entertainers where that happened. They would, if they were to speak out about certain things in a certain way, that would cut down on their appeal to audiences. Now, that's not to say they didn't hold these beliefs and didn't say these things, but they weren't making big, grandiose statements.
Right.
I think we have Colin Kaepernick and LeBron really to look at who kind of shifted this culture of Black athletes and athletes in general wanting to stand up for, use their platform as athletes to say what they want to say. And, and you take somebody like that, it takes someone especially like LeBron, because we see they got rid of Colin Kaepernick. Like, they never gave him a job back.
Right.
Like, he's been blackballed from the NFL. LeBron is such a, he meant so much to the league that there was nothing they could do. They can't stop him. They can't say.
And boy, do people love to hate LeBron for talking.
Yeah.
Or saying things about being Black in this country.
They hate it, but there's nothing they can do. He drives ratings. When he's not playing, the whole league's ratings go down. He understands his value to the league.
Right.
He understands what he's bringing to the table. And that has shifted how the entire culture of Black people are looking at how they look at their value. LeBron, though, I think he's from my generation. We looked at Jay-Z. We looked at, and I always say this, if you look at what Jay-Z was rapping his entire career, it was always about entrepreneurship and ownership. And that message has seeped through into the next generation. Now, all the rappers aren't rapping like, well, okay, so you have like, they didn't, not the young boys, but like our generation, you talk about like Drake, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, and there's some like, you got Saba, like a lot of their mindset has been molded into ownership. It's become a cultural thing, is to like, even to some point to a detriment, where people won't want to do deals because they don't really understand the idea of ownership. They just want to own stuff. But like, I'll take that, because before it was more about just getting a job and just trying to survive, and just trying to climb up the corporate ladder. And you can't do it that way. You got to do it this way. This is the American way. And what you going to do? It's America. And that's not the idea no more. The idea is more like, no, I'm going to own what I'm doing. I'll find my people. There's more understanding of how business works, and people are thinking about legacy and wealth. I just got my life insurance going through today, which I might be late on that. I don't know. I don't know what the standard is. I don't think that's a conversation that Black people frequently have.
Right. Yeah. Maybe we need a financial person to come on the show.
But
sometime.
I think that, as and I had a friend who I went to Delaware State with, which was a HBCU. I've been to 3 schools. I had a lot of different experiences, but she did a great job of explaining the benefits of life insurance and how it's not just, if you die, it can also be used as an investment for your portfolio later in life. It has dividends. And I don't think that, and also if I did die, I have a son now, right? So this is where my mind is at. I'm like, what happens if I'm not here? And for so many generations, Black people didn't have access to life insurance, still don't, many don't. And we miss out on that boost to your generational wealth.
Right.
Like, that could be the foundation of.
Because actually, that's what we were talking about with what was it, Master P? When his grandma died, and
that's the money that he
the insurance
used
to him, and that was his seed money.
That was his seed money to get his record store going, and from his record store, he was able to make his whole label. And now now he's Master P. But had his grandma not had life insurance and not left him that money, like, a lot of times that's what Black people are missing. We don't have seed money. We don't have any foundational money. We're not left with anything. We're always starting from zero. And the next generation starts from zero. Next generation starts from zero. And that's not how any other culture moves in this country. Like, they leave something, and, Ryan talks about real estate. Sometimes you can leave real estate, but if you don't have the money to keep up with it, that can be an issue as well.
Right.
So, it was just interesting to me that, like, Master P is the reason I was thinking, hey, maybe life insurance would be a good thing. Like,
I just want to be clear that when I'm talking about, you're talking about entrepreneurship in terms of like business or organized business. And for me, with my experience from my Caribbean culture, is that every one that I know was an entrepreneur to some degree. Right. So even like my grandparents, we had animals. You know, like you selling the meat. You have fruit. You're selling the fruit off the tree. Like there was a point where we had enough chickens to supply the supermarket with fresh chickens. You know, when we killed or whatever. So like there's that. Everybody has a side hustle. Like that's what I come from, where everybody has something going on the side in terms of like that type of entrepreneurship.
Right.
But we're working class, so it's like you don't necessarily have all the information to know how to make this the only thing that you're doing and make it profitable to a point where it sustains everything. You might still need your 9 to 5 or whatever, but you know, like I don't want to discredit the people. Like I feel like Black people have, just by the state of just that entrepreneurial,
right?
Like so it's just hustlers. For us. I think it is that lack of resources, that seed money and stuff like that, that prevents us, and knowledge as well,
right?
Access to knowledge as well, that keeps
part of
us
it is
from
transitioning
to official business.
Part of it's generational because the whole generation, all the jobs were gone. So our whole generation had to become more entrepreneurial and find
that
is
that is it too.
But I think that there has been a bigger effort into trying to understand equity, trying to understand ownership, especially in the Black community, due to just who's been influential. But there you do have to take into accord the lack of opportunities. I mean, it's been rough on this generation coming out of coming out of school into a recession.
Recession, baby.
Like it's just been crazy. We keep getting hit. But we have proven to be super resilient, and we've proven to be very creative in ways that we can make money, as Black people want to do, as this generation has proven to be. And yeah.
Well, all right. That's it for me. What about you?
I guess that's pretty much it. Shout out to Hustle Sauce. I don't know, where is my boy at? Speaking of entrepreneurs,
you just looking, just scanning the brain.
Because I know there's something I'm gonna forget. But where is my boy Kev at? Speaking of entrepreneurs and his side hustles, boy Kevo.
Shout out to SKYNS, man.
Shout out to SKYNS.
Shout out to SKYNS. Go listen to some SKYNS music on Spotify, Apple, wherever you stream your music.
We had 33,000 streams.
33
on Spotify. There's more. There's more than that. If you include everything, but
yeah, I'm proud of what we've done so far. There's obviously more work to be done, but for a debut,
a few months.
Yeah,
new artist.
Go listen to SKYNS.
Go listen to SKYNS.
And subscribe while you're here. If you're here, you might as well. You got this far, you might as well. We forgot to tell you at the beginning, but hit the freaking subscribe button. Turn the notifications on if you're on
Yeah, I'm
YouTube.
trying to get the 50 subscribers. Hopefully at this point, when they watch this, we'll be over 50.
Yeah. I mean, do that. If you made it this far, then obviously there's something here that you like, and you should just hit the subscribe button because you're going to be back next week anyway, or the week after that. Whatever the case may be. Yeah, so this is episode 6. We're going to get to 10 before we are hoping to get to 10. Take a break, and then we'll do some special. I'm going to try some special Baby SKYNS productions. Ryan, anything? Follow SKYNS on social media. SKYNS Music SKYNS on Music. Instagram, Facebook. That's it. Spotify. Again, Spotify. Wherever you get your music, you just Apple. SKYNS. Okay. Yeah, we're shooting a new music video coming out soon. Oh boy. Coming out in June. Is it coming out in June or shooting in June? We're shooting in June. It's coming out in June. Okay, well. Well, there we go. Coming out in June. There we have it. We're shooting it in June. It's coming out in June. I'm getting everything done before July. Trust me. July, that baby. Yeah, you should try to get everything done in June. That's what I'm saying. Early June. Because you never know. This baby anything after 36 weeks. It's up in the air, man. Coming in August.
baby.
That's the goal.
All right, we
All right,
out of
guys.
here. See you next time.
Peace.